The dying of super clubs kind of was expected. The nightclubs were the roots of house music, and it's sad as well.
The rise of bar culture, and they were the same kind of thing, but slightly watered down, and it kind of really killed the club scene a little bit. The ethos was to bring good US DJs, the home of house music, to the UK, along with the great UK DJs.
And why the name Love to Be?
And that was on the back of a fag packet, basically.
An advertisement in a pub for a DJ, so I thought, I can do that. So I went in and blagged a gig, basically.
With no experience?
Yeah, no experience at all. It was a scary thing to do, you know. It was sort of going from being a club brand to all of a sudden a festival. Yeah. We walked out and there was a sea of people. I was nearly in tears.
We have a confessions booth.
So you must have seen some like really wild and wacky things at your festivals and events.
Someone had a poo in front of us when we were DJing, didn't they?
No, they didn't.
Nice.
Yeah, that's probably the worst, most random one.
Like a dirty protest about how bad we were, I think. We're like this, like DJ, like, oh my God, that is absolutely gross.
Hello, Marc and Tony, how are you?
We're good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
I'm so excited to have you on. I know we were organising this over Zoom and all decided that in person is better.
100%, yeah. It was worth the trip.
Yeah, so I feel lucky to have you in London today. What's brought you to London today?
So we're doing some meetings, aren't we, while we're down here? Obviously, this is the main thing while we're in London,
of course.
And we've been to Armada Music today to see Phil and some of the team over there. So, yeah, we're always putting our heads about and keeping our faces in the industry. So, yeah, it's important when you're up north because you're not in the hotbed of London, are you?
True, that's very true. And we're looking for opportunities in London as well. So it's always good to come and have a look around and see who's working down there, see who we know from years ago. Because Phil from Armada goes back many years. He played at Love to Be back in the early days of Love to Be in the 90s. So, yeah.
And so you guys have been around for over 30 years. 32 to be precise.
Yeah.
Tell us about this. Where did it all start?
Well, you're the best one because Tony's the original founder.
Oh, yeah, you can tell. Slightly older than Mark. I've got 10 years on him. But
yeah,
so in the 90s, basically in late 80s, I started DJing and I was at university up in Leeds and started doing some events as house music broke, really. And the good thing I found out straight away about house music is it's diverse. It appeals to everyone. Yeah. So even though I had a lot of friends that were students, when we go out clubbing in Leeds, I found that it was just anyone who liked house music was coming to the events. So I set up a few events in Leeds called Happy on a Tuesday night. And very quickly, we went up to nearly about 1,600 people every week. So from there, I got an opportunity to work with a club owner's son and his friend to launch a new club in Sheffield. They're both called the Music Factory, and we came up with an idea called Love to Be to do what I was doing on a Tuesday, but on a Saturday in Sheffield. So we tried it out, and the ethos was to bring good US DJs, the home of house music, to the UK, along with the great UK DJs. Very uplifting, happy music, which was the name of the original night, but it was called Love to Be.
Amazing.
And it went literally within because it was every week, within about 2 months, we were up to about 1,800 people.
Wow.
So, yeah, it just went boom.
And why the name Love to Be?
There's a funny story behind that. Obviously, the nightclub I was doing the Tuesday night in originally, there was two really big nights in the north, one called Up Your Onsen, the other one called Back to Basics. Both still great nights, still very highly thought of. And Back to Basics was the best night. A guy called Dave Beer, knew him very well. And his flyers at the time when we were speaking about launching the night was a backwards B, a 2, and a forwards B. And I said, if you turn that B up like that and make it into a heart, you've got Love to Be.
Love that.
And that's literally how the name, and that was on the back of a fag packet, basically, quite literally.
After a few drinks.
And it stuck. So, yeah. But the good thing is, I think it lent itself to doing, we wanted to do theme nights. It was all, because of where we were in the clubbing scene then, it was like the early 90s. We'd just come out of the rave scene.
Yeah.
And it was getting more glamorous. It was all about theming the night. And Love to Be ... gave you so much scope to theme a night. Love to be glamorous, love to be masquerade, love to be whatever, really. So that's why we went with it, and it was good for marketing. It was good for flyers back in the day and posters and great ideas, and everyone bought into it, really. So yeah, happy days.
Happy days.
Take me back.
And 32 years on, do you still have some of the same following?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we've still got a lot of the old sort of followers, and but they want to hear new music as well, which is good. And because they were brought up on new music in that era. So, but then what we've done, we've repositioned the brand a little bit. So we mix some of the iconic DJs that we had back in the day that still play for Love to Be with some of the newer sort of DJs that have just broken through in the last few years. So that brings a nice 25-year-old sort of plus market through who are discovering the brand for the first time. And we get people who are coming with their aunties and uncles, or they come up to us and say, "Oh, my mum told me to come to Love to Be because it'd be really good."
Yeah.
So it's creating it's bridging a gap with the generations really, and they all seem to get on because you think, oh, the older people wouldn't want to mix with younger people and vice versa. But I think with the music's got that much energy and it's just a good vibe. They all just sort of mingle together and really enjoy it really. So yeah. And my journey wasn't as long as that. Really,
how did you guys come into partnership together?
Well, I was still at school when Love to Be started, so I was doing my GCSEs.
Did you sneak in out in the back? Yeah.
And then as I came out of school into college, I didn't really want to get a proper job, so I saw an advertisement in a pub for a DJ, so I thought I can do that. So I went in and blagged a gig basically, and then
with no experience.
Yeah, no experience at all.
Love that.
And I ended up buying some kit, and I went in, and my mum and dad had loads of 60s and 70s records. So I just went in this pub and played every week and got paid for that. And it just saved me from getting a job, really. And then it just went from there. I went into clubs and discovered house music and all the rest of it, and started DJing, learned how to mix. And then Love to Be was a really big night. We all sort of, it came into Manchester because I'm from Manchester originally. And Love to Be came to Manchester. So we went and experienced Love to Be as a tour. And then sort of the late 90s, I was DJing at a club in Manchester. And the first guest DJ I ever played with was this guy here. So yeah. So he came in as the guest DJ at a club I was resident at. And we had a bit of an after party, didn't we?
Yeah, we had an after party.
And we've been stuck together ever since. So yeah, that was 1999. So
it was a talented DJ though. Very. Yeah. He's talented DJ and good at after parties as well, so he can do a few good impressions.
Entertain, Just thought he could make some money off it, that's all it was. He's a young one, I'll make some money off him.
Stick with me, kid, you'll be wearing diamonds.
Yeah, that was his line to me once. So
I loved it.
I've not got any diamonds yet though. So, but yeah, then we became really good mates, and when we started DJing together, and Tony was still involved in the brand, and then I started DJing for Love to Be. Mm-hmm. When it was in Leeds at the time, so it was moving around as a touring brand then. Yeah. And then I think it changed hands a few times in the early noughties. But always doing events. The brand has always been there. It's not one of the brands that's kind of disappeared for 10 years and then come back. It's constantly been there.
Wow.
We had presence on radio as well, because after Love to Be shut as a nightclub as such, and we toured, and then we did Kiss FM when it came up to do the north of England. It started in Manchester, went to Leeds, and we kind of transformed it into what was called the transatlantic mix, because a lot of the DJs we were hiring were from the States. So we did a mix for an hour from the States and a mix for an hour from the UK with a guy called DJ Disciple. And that went for 5 years all across the KISS network, and then it got bought out into Galaxy. Wow. And that went all the way around the UK and then on to some stations abroad because of Disciple in New York. And it gave me a really good opportunity to play around the world. So,
So 30 years... for any brand is momentous, and I think in an industry like ours, I mean, absolute respect. I'm like, wow, it's an achievement, and like you said, not to have had the break, not to have stopped, but to have kept that following. What would you say has been like some of the main secrets to that success?
I'd say loving the music. I think that's the key that keeps you going, because even though the musical tastes come and go, and when we first started, house was really strong. Then along came trance, and we weren't really into trance, but we kept to our roots. Yeah. Right. We kept trying to push our music forward, even when it was in the underground. We'll try and push it back up. So it's just that love of music, and I think we'd be doing that even if we weren't running events. We're music lovers first and foremost, aren't we? We're DJs. We've got huge record collections.
We started out as DJs, so that's where we come from. Is from a DJ background. There's obviously been different people involved in Love to Be over the years, and I think consistency with the music as well. Like keeping that kind of original vibe of the 90s. Yeah, all the way through the 30 years, we've changing with obviously different styles, and but keeping it on that house music trajectory, not going too far right, not going too far left, but just staying on that sort of path of playing really good house music. It can be an underground track, it can be a vocal track, it can be a piano track, but we just try and play good music, and I think that's stood the brand in good stead, really. And even now when we do the bigger events, the festivals, it's not always about huge production and visual. We more program the music first before we think about anything else, and who's going to be playing at certain times. So I think that's probably the main sort of driver behind it, don't you think?
Definitely, yeah. Well, I mean, house music, it's you don't have to pigeonhole yourself. You can get some genres like bassline that come along, and you just have to play that sound. With house, you can play a bit of bassline, you can play whatever you want, and that's the key to it. But the key is good music. And that's what you get from 30 years of listening to it. And we both managed record shops, big record shops in the north. So we've been surrounded by that all our working career.
Yeah, and we're producers, Trimtone, obviously, and you know, that was something we started in 2012-13 to keep our own careers, you know, give ourselves longevity as well, and obviously producing music, working in record shops. We've owned various record labels as well over the years, so just being surrounded by music has really helped the brand in the long term.
Yeah, and so what changes have you seen in the industry and with house music that you weren't necessarily expecting?
I think the dying of super clubs and the sort of nightclubs kind of was expected because of the amount of festivals that came along. You know, that back in the day there was only really Creamfields that was doing that kind of big festival, big ticket festival. Then there's more and more, and now there's a lot, you know. So I think that was, it's sad as well, you know, like the nightclubs were the roots of house music, and I think seeing that sort of change, and there's been so many different sort of genres that have blown up and then disappeared. I think it's just sort of seeing those changes, but trying to evolve with them as well is important.
And the rise of bar culture, because nightclubs were great. You went there to hear a certain type of music played by a certain DJ, and then bars came along, and they were the same kind of thing, but slightly watered down and a cheaper version. So everyone would go to bars, and it kind of really killed the club scene a little bit. So, and to the extent that you go to a certain bar and you could hear the DJs that were playing in the nightclub.
Yeah.
So,
and I think customer habits as well, you know, like where we were in the 90s, you'd go out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know, you'd be out constantly. Then that's changed now. My kids are 20 and 25, so they don't go out every week. They'll go to 3 festivals a year because, one, it's expensive, and they don't go to that clubbing kind of community every single week. So the consumer habits have massively changed as well, and people want an experience now rather than just to be stood in a club every week. So that's been a really big shift as well, I think we've seen over the 30 years.
I mean, when did bar culture become a thing? I'm 37 next week. But I've always known bars to be there. When did you see that kind of shift?
I'd say we can tell you exactly, because we were getting booked to playing clubs, and then we were getting booked to playing bars. So there was definitely a transition. It was around about the time when...
About early 2000s.
Yeah, just towards the end of vinyl as well. There was a lot of changes within the music scene, but definitely in places like Manchester, because there's more opportunity for the bar culture to take a hold in the bigger cities. Definitely it was.
Well, because the pubs used to close at
11,
12
It was a
o'clock.
relaxation of that law.
And the bars used to shut at 11, 12 o'clock. And then all of a sudden, these big chains like Revolution and places like that were open till 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And all the DJs that were residents at the nightclubs were playing there. And then it's kind of had a knock-on effect now. The festivals have come along, so the younger people aren't going to the bars every week, so now the bars are closing down. So it's been a huge change in the space of about 20 years, really.
And that must be fascinating for you guys to kind of watch and also be part of, and then position yourself around. Has that changed the course of how you have positioned Love to Be?
Yeah, obviously we've had to go into the festival. Not had to, but we've taken the brand into the festival market.
And daytime.
Yeah, and
daytimes are a big thing.
Since COVID, daytime parties are just massive. You know, no one. I don't think anyone wants to be stood in a club at 4 or 5 in the morning anymore.
Which is fine for me.
Trying to get an Uber home.
Yeah, and not when you're given the option where you don't have to. It's like 9 o'clock bedtime sounds great.
Yeah. You can go out in the day and you can get up fresh the next day.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that back in the day. You know, so I think we've had to evolve and reposition things, especially since COVID, obviously, because we were doing nothing for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So then when we relaunched, we had a year of relaunching the brand and put it in some different territories, and then the opportunity to do the festival came along. So we kind of had some sleepless nights for a few weeks, and then dived into it. Yeah.
So when was the first festival?
2024.
Yeah.
Right.
2024. Yeah.
Amazing.
So that was the first one in Harrogate, on the Straits, beautiful spa town. Not the place you would expect a festival to be in the middle of a town.
On the King's land.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's royal
so it's
land.
on royal land.
How did you get that?
Well, the council kind of approached us. I'd worked in Harrogate for a while, so we had tentative links within the business community there. But I think they were looking for a festival. They were looking for something to come along. And we had got a good reputation of being quite a glamorous brand. And we kind of fitted with the area, but we still had to put our plans forward. We still had to commit to make sure we had the community on our side.
Yeah.
But we did. And we've done a good job. There's never an ounce of trouble. There's no bad behaviour. It's just people loving music all day long. And it's all ages. It's nice. And think even the residents like us now, don't they?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
bring a lot of
We've not
business
had
into
many. It's a big retirement town.
How do you build good relationships with a retirement community?
Well, I think.
Well, we don't go on too late.
Yeah,
do
we don't go on too late. Yeah, so it finishes at 11. So
we
it's
don't do too many
daytime.
events a year, do we? We only do the one a year.
And there's a lot of, we have like strict kind of sound levels and things like that. That it doesn't affect the event at all. But we have to have sound monitors on site and things like that. All the usual stuff that probably a lot of people do, and just do everything by the book. Make sure we're compliant. It's a big undertaking. We're not a massive team in the office, and we've got some really good support around us. And it was a scary thing to do. It was sort of going from being a club brand to all of a sudden a festival.
Yeah.
And we originally set the event up to do. We thought we'll tentatively do it, and we'll do it for 2,000 people. We set the budget for that, and we thought, right, that's manageable. We were confident we could probably do that, and we put an organic post out for a sign up, and we got over 2,000 sign ups like within like 3 days, and we're like, okay, how many people will actually buy a ticket?
Mm-hmm.
Tickets are on sale next week. 'Cause it was a little bit rushed because we're into 2024 already, so we put some tickets on sale. And like 1,500 tickets went straight away, and we were like, all right, okay. So then we had to redesign the whole site and put more budget into it, and we ended up doing 5,000 people on the first event, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And then year 2 was 6,000, so more and more people. The lineup was bigger, but more investment. But we put literally everything from year 1 back into it, because it was all about growing the brand and growing the festival. And then we obviously do Sheffield, which is the brand's hometown, and next year we're hoping to expand that further with another two sites really. So it's all systems go.
Amazing.
But that is the biggest change for us, really, because we've gone from promoting in nightclubs where you literally go in and you hire a nightclub and you put some DJs on.
Done.
From the bottom to the top, we have to, even every blade of grass gets sucked back up into the right shape at the end, because we have to do everything, the health and safety. We've learnt a lot, and it's a big undertaking, and we've learnt the correct suppliers to work with, and it's great because now we have a blank canvas of an event that we could potentially put anywhere. It doesn't have to be a field; it could be anywhere, because we not only operate the obviously the entertainment side, we operate bars. We've got everything in there, and we've learned from the ground up of how to do that.
I mean, we had some pinch me moments over the years. We've seen events come together and from DJing, but then we were the first year. Because we didn't even on the day we knew we'd sold the tickets, but because it was a festival,
turn up,
and it's what if it rained?
Yeah,
all these different
they
things
like the music.
Well,
we don't know, because a festival's a little bit more mass market than 500 people in a club, 1,000 people in a club. They're solely there because they're into house music. You do get a little bit more kind of people who just want to go to a festival, and we were like, what's the crowd going to be like? Are they going to not like the music? And we were all sorts going through our heads. Even though we'd sold the tickets, we were still really worried about the music, and we were like, oh no! And then we walked. It was Barbara Tucker went on, didn't she? And we walked out, and there was a sea of people. Oh, God, I was nearly in tears. I was just we were both like stood there like
it was a high five moment.
Yeah, is this actually happening? It was a great moment. And something we're really proud of.
And how do you keep, I can feel that heart is still alive. Yeah. So how do you keep that so fresh with all the stresses and the practicalities of the organisation and the management responsibility?
We have clear goals set out, don't we? But we do run it as a business, so we kind of know what we're doing. Yeah, there are a lot of stresses along the way, but we have a clear focus of where we want to get to in 2 years, 5 years. Beyond that, so that keeps us going. So I think that you take hits along the way like any business, but overall, as long as you're building and the business is going in the right direction, because everything is going forward, the likes, the people attending, everything, and that gives you the drive, and it's learning. Every day's learning for us. It's even though we've been doing this 30 years, we don't expect to be polished in any way. We're keen, we're eager to learn. This is why we're happy to do things from the ground upwards and try and build something that pushes us forward, really.
And I think having a good team around us as well. This last few years, we've recruited people in house who have come on board and really invested themselves in the brand and live and breathe it with us, because we're just really passionate about music and we want to see good events and we want to give people a good time. Above selling tickets and all the rest of it, our sort of joy comes from seeing a full dance floor and people enjoying the music. And I think working together as friends really helps. I think because we are mates, and even if we have a heated discussion, say over something that it lasts 10 seconds.
Oh yeah.
You know, well, it's like a family feud more than anything. You know, it's like last 10 seconds. My kids call him Uncle Tony. You know, so it's like it helps, and we get to tour together as well, which is great. Yeah. So we really switch off from work, the day-to-day office work, when we're DJing a trim tone, and we literally treat that as we're out as artists now, and we just enjoy that for what it is. We don't really talk about work too much, do we?
Unless we get some ideas along the way, but we're playing at certain festivals.
So it's nice that we've got that balance as well, and I think the team in the office do a great job as well, you know, that from the operational side, design, marketing and things like that. So we've got a really good support network as well, really.
When you argue, what do you normally argue over?
We don't really argue.
There's not major arguments.
What to have for lunch?
My snoring generally.
Yeah, he's snoring. We have to have separate hotel rooms now. We used to share hotel rooms.
Can't anymore.
No.
Sleep is everything, isn't it?
Well, I'm really grumpy if I don't
He's a light sleeper.
Oh, me too.
I never used to sleep. I used to stay up. Yeah, but I need my sleep these days. So so I need my sleep. He snores. So it's separate rooms or an Airbnb with 2 bedrooms. So that's what it is. That's the main argument. Yeah,
but so like 30 years together, like doing business together, well, having the brand, but then obviously working together for the majority of that. That's impressive. Yeah. Over the years, have you ever thought about splitting?
No.
Have you ever thought about quitting?
No, never. We've had different.
It's a hobby though, isn't it? The thing is, it's a hobby to us. So while you wouldn't want to quit a hobby, but something you love, something you're passionate about, it's going to always be there. So even if we didn't have a huge festival, we'd still be doing music. We'd still be making music. You know,
we're both massively into the same music. Yeah, you know, we're like really into the same music. You know, and from a business perspective, the day to day, we've both got different strengths. You know, so it really works because it's not like we're clashing over things, because Tony knows what he does, I know what I do. Yeah. So, but then when it's music, we're just geeks, really. We're just a pair of geeks, you know, who used to like to party too much, but then we're really into the music, and you know, that's what's key to us really, is that we're DJs and we're just music lovers at heart, really. And luckily enough, I've never had a proper job since I left school, have I? So
and that's just impressive. Been DJing. I mean, that's impressive to, you know, because you in a way you're painting a gorgeous picture, right? But you're actually living off of this as well. Which is great to be able to, you know, like to do. How I know a lot of people have sort of mixed opinions on festivals. Like if you're maybe a little bit uneducated on the industry, you think like festivals are making colossal money. What's the actual reality, and how has that compared with when you were doing clubs?
Well, I mean, obviously, because it's a large event, it does turn over a lot of cash, but it doesn't mean you make a lot of profit. Yeah. So, you know, it's just about, for us, it's about keeping continuity, doing more events, and not just festivals. We do smaller events as well. It's about, more for us, it's about building fans and building the brand. If we make a good profit and we pay the bills, then that's great. But the ultimate game is to build the brand bigger and bigger and bigger. And, you know, we've got good examples to look up to. Defected Records is a great example of what you should do as a brand. They came at it slightly differently, coming through obviously having the record labels first and events second. We're kind of the other way around, aren't we? Yeah. We're events first and now looking at the label. So, yeah, it's just, you know, as we said before, just loving what we do is the key to everything, really.
Yeah. And with the festivals, what does it actually look like? How do you make money off of festivals?
I think it's getting the balance right. The problem you've got now is artist fees are so through the roof, you know, and as soon as you say festival, they're like, right, here we go, you know, and that's like my side of the job as well, because I have to sit on the fence as an artist as well, who DJs and wants to go and earn money as an artist, but then I've got to have the conversations with the agents and things like that. So it's a tricky one. I think artist fees have been part of the downfall of clubs, because clubs can't afford to put headliners on anymore, because they're just, you know, they won't budge on their fees, which, you know, like, it is what it is, you know. So we've all got to live with the world that it is, and it's about getting the balance right, you know, making sure your talent cost doesn't bankrupt you, you know, and because you could easily get carried away and be like, oh yeah, we'll have that ice. So I think that it's finding a balance and trying to work with agents and artists to make sure your budgets are tight as well. And then obviously when you're running a festival like we do in a field, we operate the bars as well. Yeah. So the bar revenue is really important to that festival as well. And then getting a balance with the pricing as well on that. So yeah.
And you see some festivals, like I think I was at one last year, and it was mainly the 23, 24-year-olds we were working at, and the drink prices were almost 20 quid a drink.
Right, wow.
And it's like, that's colossal.
Yeah, that is crazy.
You understand why, but that's kind of a model I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
How is that going to work? Where do you guys sit with your drink pricing?
No, we're not that expensive.
We try and match what you'd pay in the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't go above that. We don't think people should have to, really.
Yeah.
It's, it's not about greed. We're not greedy. We just want people to have a good time. It's about people coming back.
Yeah.
We're in for the long haul, so we're not going to want to rip people
and on the flip side of that as well is, the prices might be a little bit expensive at some festivals or wherever, but I think some people don't understand that, they are businesses at the end of the day as well, and they just think there's a lot of, from the outside looking in, if you don't understand it, it might be like, they're just charging so much money, but I don't think they understand the actual cost behind putting that event on, and the amount of work that goes into it. You're not just making money for that day, you're making money for that day that's going to support your business. 6 months, 12 months, and your business runs 20, all year round. So the costs are not just associated with that event. Your staff, your offices, everything what goes on all year round. So it's not just about that one day. So it's just getting that balance about giving the customer a good experience, not letting them come and enjoy it without sort of taking every penny out of their pocket, and giving them a good experience.
Yeah, I love that. And so you've got lots of different ages, from like the DJs that come as well as the guests that come to the events and the shows. How do you sort of cater to everyone? Is that a goal, or has it just sort of organically happened?
It was a goal, really.
Yeah,
it was a goal. I think we had a strategy when we came out of lockdown, was probably before sort of COVID hit. We did quite a lot of heritage nights where we do some sort of classics nights on new nights and things like that. There's a bit of a mix, but we wanted to really push the brand forward as we came out of that. So we started booking sort of, DJs that have sort of come through in the last sort of 5 to 10 years, mixing that with, your iconic DJs who are still really relevant today, your Roger Sanchez's and people like that. And we wanted to really move the brand forward, and us as DJs wanted to be playing new music. So what we do at the festivals, we call it the Music Factory stage, going back to our roots in Sheffield, where we play classics, and we have a really good classic stage. But it's a lot of the Americans, it's not like your sort of really cheesy stuff. It's really good kind of, classic 90s house, that kind of stuff. And then on the main stage, it's just new music. We've just booked Claptone for the festival this year, which is a really big, shift for us from a booking perspective. You've got Sam Divine, Paul Woolford, we had Armin van Helden on last year, Darius Sarossian. So those kinds of names who are, really forward thinking. And I think when they come, they really enjoy it as well, because the atmosphere is really on point, because the music's really energetic. And we had some younger people came who were in the VIP last year, and they walked out of the VIP with their phones, and then they came back and said, I feel a bit embarrassed getting my phone out because nobody's got their phone out. So we're like, we don't actually need a no phones policy, because everyone's just really dancing and having a good time. It's like a club atmosphere at a festival. It's a bit odd, really. But everyone's just there for the music, and everyone's super friendly. And that's what we tried to achieve, really, is to keep the brand moving forward, but stay, true to the roots of the music, really.
Yeah.
And we present a radio show every week that goes across about 100 stations around the world. And every week we have to find 2 hours of new music. So we're still in tune with new music because that's what we love. And it wouldn't be fair not to try and share that within what we do in the events, because we know the music now is as good, if not better, than in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's about pushing it forward, and the music goes nowhere if you keep going backwards. You have to keep pushing things forward. Great new artists, great new DJs, and then the obviously the younger generation can come through, because it's their generation of music then.
Yeah.
We're not just stuck in the 90s. I think a lot of 90s events are a bit cliche now, and we've never been like that, even when we've done more of the classic house. Our classic house isn't probably what people would associate with classic 90s, really.
Yeah,
it's slightly different type. It's a certain sound that we pushed,
and even through the label as well. We've had like he was 15 at the time, Max Winfield.
Yeah,
he's just been on BBC introducing, bringing new fresh faces. He played a little set at ADE for us. Really trying to bring the younger generation through and give them an opportunity, and then introduce them through the record label, and then hopefully give them a platform to DJ as well.
And not only have you sort of tapped into different generations, but you've also now gone overseas post-COVID. How did that all come about?
I think it was something we wanted to do as a brand. We as a model, we wanted to be we didn't want to have this Northern brand tag, really, did we? No. We wanted to be kind of, although Love to Be has always done events all over Ibiza, London. It's been a sort of brand that's travelled far and wide. I think because the world opened up during COVID, weirdly, online. So we we streamed every week. So we had a sort of club stream every Saturday. COVID. Through COVID for 2 years, every single Saturday. It kept us focused on music and, from a mental health perspective. Yeah. And even like the people who were on the streams, when we eventually met them afterwards, said, it was really good for my mental health. I knew I had something to look forward to on the week. We had a bit of fun with it, We
raised money for charity.
Yeah,
Oh,
we raised money for charity. We dressed up on there, didn't we? We did all kinds of silly things because it's just about having fun as well.
But we'd done that for us anyway, and fortunately there was an audience there as well because it kept us entertained. But we reached all around the world, and coming out of COVID, then we kind of tried to tap into those contacts.
There was a demand, really.
Definitely,
so someone had reached out from Chicago, and they're like, "Oh, well, let's put a night on. Let's do a Love to Be in Chicago." And then we ended up in Chicago, and then we're like, "Okay, great. We've got all these contacts. Let's try and utilize that to put the brand around the world." And we've been great. We've been around America, and we were in Sydney last year, and East Asia, and obviously Europe. So it's been really good for the brand as well as a brand position because we've done some really big shows out there as well. So
you do bump into people and say, "Well, we used to watch the streams."
Wow. Yeah, it's weird. Like in Australia, they'd be like, "I used to watch all the streams."
What were you pulling on these streams?
There was millions.
There were large numbers. I think the stream numbers got shrunk a little bit towards the end because I think the record label and everyone was doing it, and record labels were
the views were into the millions, weren't they, over time? But then like we were predominantly on Facebook with it, and then it started getting flagged a lot and things like that. So you were like getting taken down, and it was like a fight with Meta to try and keep your stream up. Even now, I still get the odd notification. Your streams have been flagged, and it's a stream from lockdown, and you're like, what?
But why are they being flagged?
Just because of copyright on the tracks and things like that.
There was no real license to play that music. But come on, it's COVID. Everyone's locked down. Maybe lighten up a bit.
Yeah.
But
and it was good. It was good for us and all our DJs and things like that because we were just doing this random sort of like streaming every week for like 6 hours.
We had DJs from all over the world, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had Dave Rice from America, didn't we? And then people from Holland,
big names on there,
all over.
Yeah, and we raised that. I think it was quite a lot of money for some charities as well during that period as well. So it was good, and I think that really, in a weird way, it was really tough through COVID because you were stuck in, and
the unknown,
you weren't getting paid and things like that. So, but then to come out of that, you had to really seize those opportunities, which hopefully we have really.
And we didn't go behind a paid curtain whereby people have to pay to listen to it. We kept everything free, and I think that's that. I think people bought into that then because they knew that we were giving our time and we were passionate about what we were doing, and then they came and supported us out of it. Yeah, which was good. So the first event out of it was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sold out. We did it back in Sheffield, and it sold out, and the atmosphere was honestly, it was like. It was like the animals out of the cages, It was just like it was all hell broke loose in this venue, It was absolute carnage. It was just like there were limbs everywhere. It was like people had forgotten people had forgotten how to dance. So just like, I'm just going to go wild, and it just went wild for like it was like 7 hours of just absolute carnage. It's like the best atmosphere you've ever experienced. Wow. And we went from there, and we're like, all right, let's keep doing this. It was good.
We're
fun.
back here.
Yeah, it was good.
In that time, did you ever have any sort of low moments yourselves around whether you were going to continue or?
Yeah, because I think we've obviously
worried, weren't we?
Yeah, we were worried because financially, then you've got to relaunch. And unfortunately, some events didn't come back. Or they tried doing like the sit down events and things like that, and it was just it was very awkward. And some of them were successful, and I think we just waited for the right time. And I think because we kept streaming, we didn't really feel like we were too far away from the music, so we had fun, and we were really interactive. We did it live, so just things went wrong, So it was just just part of the fun.
The chat box when we used to play, it was all the clubbers chatting in there. It was like being on a dance floor. The chat box was the dance floor. It was amazing. It was amazing times and sad times because it was a horrible thing for the whole world to go through. But we kind of tried to make something good out of it. Yeah, and then I think we got a fan base from that, didn't we? Really? So we'd already had our loyal fan base.
The Facebook page went from sort of like I think we have 20,000 followers, like sort of 100,000 now. So it's only in the space of a few years, it's gone to that level, and the Instagram's kind of shown the same thing. So it shows the kind of community that's built as well. And And I think we don't tend not to like preach too much about stuff. We just make it about the music and make it about the people. It's all the people who come to the events that make it really. And during that time it was tough. It was hard not going out to work and miss doing gigs and things like that. But we tried to make the best of a bad situation and just be positive about it. Like I say, people were saying it really helped the mental health. And when you hear stuff like that, it's nice, really. Yeah.
And in terms of your online community, have you kept that going post-COVID? Has that been a form of like marketing and has it stayed strong?
Yeah, we don't stream every week, but we do still stream. It's not as regular because obviously the audience people.
We have the radio show.
Yeah, and we've got the radio show because we relaunched the radio show on the record label during COVID. So that was just stuff we could do online.
Yeah.
So we relaunched that. Like Tony said, the radio show has been really successful. So that's kind of replaced the stream, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that is still across all our socials and things like that. And we regularly sort of reach out. We've got like a Love to Be family group, which is pretty much all the people who were on the streams. That's like a separate group away from the sort of the business pages. So there is that community still there, yeah.
And have you had any cute stories come forward from people in the community? Has anyone got met the love of their life, got married?
There was a few, weren't there? Yeah, I think it got a bit flirty on the streams. It did get a bit flirty on there. Yeah, we were like, all right, chill out a bit.
I bet you've got some love to be children batting around out here now.
Not ours. We stayed in our houses. But I think there might have been a few secret meetups during that period.
If you've got this community of people that are now like following your events and coming, I can imagine the bonds that are actually forming there are huge.
Yeah, and I think you do see like groups of like people who used to communicate on the stream. You see them on the dance floor, and they always wave to you, and you recognise them from their profile pictures or whatever. And there is still that sort of sense of community, really. So it's pretty cool. Like that's sort of come out of it. Yeah.
And so you've got kids. Have you also got
I have,
kids?
yeah.
And how old are both of your kids?
Yours are a bit wider about
16 and 32. There was quite a big age gap there. Started early and then
finished
went
late.
back again.
Story of your life.
But in it for the long haul.
I've always
definitely.
I've kind of been all my life. But yeah, two girls, and I've got two granddaughters as well. So
I love this. And do your kids all come to your events?
Yeah, mine do.
My eldest did. She was screaming at the stage once, and I don't think she came back after that.
Yeah,
but a lot of them don't think we're that cool. To be fair, I know my kids don't think that. My youngest daughter's into death metal.
Oh,
and so really the other way. So I think she's rebelling, and I'll leave her with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any death metal festivals, but
no. I've told her she's at art uni now. She's got there a little bit early, and I said we should look at doing events.
Yeah,
because there will be a demand especially for in Leeds, because there was a big kind of goth scene years ago. You could try and reignite that, but she doesn't listen to it. She thinks I'm so uncool. So
it is the way, isn't it? Until they want something.
Yeah, my kids are 20 and 25. My son DJs as well.
Nice.
Yeah,
so your kids are more.
Yeah, they've got a bit more involved in it really. So Kieran DJs and Arabella, she actually works for us in the office. So wow. And she loves events, loves the events, and comes and works at all the events and things like that. She's got a boyfriend involved in working now and things like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So what was it like when the kids were young and you were DJing and setting up business? How did you juggle this whole thing?
Tough. Yeah, that wasn't easy.
Yeah.
I mean, but my oldest daughter, I was literally DJing all the time. When back in the day there were a lot of gigs through the week. You could do up to 10 gigs in a week, and balancing that with having a small child was tough. But I did a lot of the I'm coming out at 4 o'clock in the morning now. I'm going to do the rocking the baby to sleep now. So I was used to nights, so that wasn't a bad thing. That was a positive, to be fair.
Yeah.
But kids give you such they bring you back down to earth, and it was such a good grounding to have. And it still is, and I think that's why we're quite level-headed, really. Yeah. And you don't have much ego because your kids can bring you straight back down to earth.
Humbling.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's a positive.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, especially with the people that come to our events, a lot of them, especially the older ones, have had kids and they're coming back out, a new lease of life. And I think you feel that on the dance floor. It's not a place where I don't think anyone could go there and feel intimidated on our dance floors.
Definitely not. No.
It's a very friendly, inclusive atmosphere. I think that comes from the range of generations and, like you say, people having kids and and realising that, I can go back out clubbing again now. They're all grown up.
Bring my daughter.
And the older generation are messier than the
They are the messiest.
Well. Well, they've also got a little bit more disposable income, maybe.
Yeah. Well, the original party people, aren't they? So, that's where it comes from.
Drank a bit more.
Like, come on, mum, come on, dad, get home.
Well, the younger generation are far more sensible now, aren't they? It's the other way around.
The most sober sort of generation, aren't they?
Apparently so. I reckon they're just doing it in private.
Yeah, definitely. They just don't put it on Instagram.
I don't want to put it on
thank
Instagram.
God there were no Instagram when we were that age.
No.
Yeah, that's it. So you must have seen some like really wild and wacky things at your festivals and events. Can you pick one where you're like, okay, that was wild?
They generally involve me, don't they?
Yeah. Generally,
I'll let you tell the story.
Missing for a few days. There's been loads of stuff, haven't there? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been absolutely loads of stuff. It's been random stuff. Someone had a poo in front of us when we were DJing, didn't they?
They didn't.
Nice.
Yeah, that's probably the worst, most random one.
Like a dirty protest about how bad we were, I think.
They were just so wasted.
Yeah,
they
really
thought they were in the toilet.
And we were in this club, and it was a long time ago now. It was a really low ceiling, sweaty club, boiling hot, packed to the rafters, and we were DJing together. And all of a sudden, like the dance, you couldn't really see. It was high up the DJ booth, and you couldn't really see the front of the dance floor. And you just saw it like moving away like that. And I went, "What is that smell? Like, can you smell that?" And he was like, "Oh God!" And we're like this, like DJ, like, "Oh my God, that is absolutely gross." And then all of a sudden, this doorman came over and was like, "Ugh," like dipping, like got this lad and carried him out. He'd just been so
nothing
leathered.
to do with our mixing, by the way.
Oh my
I think it might have been. Yeah.
And he just had no idea.
No, he was all over the place. Yeah. So.
Was these the days of social media? Did someone capture this?
Unfortunately for him,
well
no.
before
No.
Yeah.
I mean, in Leeds, there was a clubbing scene. We played a lot in Leeds, and it went literally from Thursday night to Monday morning.
There was some
and it was a 24-hour city with events after events after events after events. So that whole era of when would you say that was from?
It's about 2000.
2000s,
it's about 2006.
Every
probably.
weekend in Leeds was a story.
It was like a 20. We called it 24-hour party, City Leeds.
You'd go back to an after party after an event, and then after you'd get there, and then you think, well, there's another event on there, and then so people would just keep going.
Yeah.
So, but you don't get that now. That's gone. So
No.
you could say to the younger generation, they'd look at you like, what? You did that?
Yeah, I said to my daughter, I said, like, this is what people used to do. She's like, people don't do that.
Really?
And you'd be like, really? Like, yeah. But they used to be like, you go out Friday, then you go to a club Saturday. We used to DJ at an after hours in Leeds, 7 till 9 Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And then another club called Stinkies would open at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it was like space, weren't it? But instead of planes going over, it was a railway line. And there was like probably like 1,000 people just absolutely leathered in this garden, cheering at the trains. And then that went through to Sunday night. And then we had a residency on a Sunday in Leeds.
Yeah.
There was like a place called Oslo and a Mission as well, and they would just open then till 5 o'clock Monday morning.
So that whole era was pure stories.
Yeah.
But the good thing is we can't remember any of them.
No, that's it. Yeah.
And there was no social media.
There's a few pictures buried in a coffee table. It is.
You get the odd flashback as well now. Yeah. That's about it.
Did either of you ever like nearly lose yourself in the industry?
No, we've always stayed pretty level-headed, really, haven't we?
I
think we've just treated it as we've been really fortunate to do it as a job.
Yeah, be humble.
To do this as a living. You know, it's something we've just kind of drifted into, really, but we're really passionate about. And I think we just really keep our feet on the ground. You know, like we just enjoy it. Even now, you know, it's just we just have a laugh. We laugh all the time. Yeah. We nearly got booted out of a pool in Ibiza for laughing too loud. You know, there's there was a guy there and he started calling us hyenas. So we just laugh a lot, you know, and it's just the way it is.
Enjoy it and try not to have an ego is the key to it.
Yeah, definitely, really. Yeah. And just have a laugh,
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's a lot of people coming out in our industry who have been in the industry for some time and they're now sort of going sober or preaching that kind of thing. And I guess because they've had challenges with drink, alcohol and things like that over the time. Where do you sit on your relationship with alcohol? And
I mean, I've never done anything to excess, really. Never been a big drinker, never drink at home, nothing like that. So I enjoy a couple of beers. And even when we're DJ now, we sometimes, even when we're going to do a gig and they say, what do you want in your rider, that kind of thing. And sometimes we just like, it's water, you know, it's fine. You know, we'll have a drink. You'll get stuck into a bottle of rum now and again, won't you? But
the hangover's too bad now.
Yeah. But it's never to the point where you can't cope with it, you know. But we were kind of having a conversation on, you know, these guys that are touring every week.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to drink because it's there and it's free.
It can give you confidence.
Yeah, and you know, I'll have a drink before I go on, and it's easily done. And I think when you're touring on your own, people think it's like the best life in the world. Sometimes we sit there when we're flying to, like, you know, you fly to East Asia or somewhere in a long haul. You're like, I can't imagine doing this back to back every single day
on your own.
On your own.
We're lucky we do it as friends.
Yeah,
but
and it's like it's tough. You know, it's a really tough job and lonely as well.
You don't want to introduce drinking to that, do you?
Yeah.
Really?
So we keep a level on it. We'll enjoy a drink. You know, if we go and do a big festival, we'll go and enjoy it and have a laugh, and that'll be it. We'll get up the next day and be hungover and feel rotten and fly home.
Laugh about what we did the night before.
Yeah.
But it's not the focus.
Yeah.
You know, our focus is music, and that keeps you level-headed.
Yeah, but I get it. I get why some of these artists are, you know, going sober and things like that. Totally get it.
Because and it's good because they can share their experiences and help people that do have those kind of problems, because it does come up, especially people going out clubbing and you know, the addiction problems can happen. But it's good that people can give their opinions and how to work through these things, and positivity coming out of it, which is all good.
I know we touched on it a few conversations sort of back. What's your take on this next generation, Gen Z, and their drinking habits?
Well, like I said, there was a thing to say they weren't really heavy drinkers, really, and you know, a lot of them into the gym and fitness and mental health, which is great. You know, that's great, and you know, like I said, drinking has never been a driver for us, so it's like I say, it's affecting bars and bar culture and club culture because they're not going out every week. So it's finding, again, a balance, because we're trying to bring a new generation through to the brand as well. So, it's going to be interesting to see, really, how that develops, I think.
But we had a gym, but it was called the dance floor. Yeah. And you had it every week. But because you don't really have that now, I can understand why kids are trying to get themselves feeling healthy, looking good. There's more pressure on that now with social media. I'm sure kids just enjoy themselves as much as we did back in the day.
I mean, you still see a few of them enjoying themselves in Ibiza, don't you? You know, like we've driven into Ibiza.
It's just slightly different. The landscape has changed to which you can play.
It's probably just not as many that are doing it now and living that party lifestyle.
To do it though as well, isn't it? Because of bar culture, and there's not as many clubs. And
I mean, we've driven into Ibiza. We've got landed on an early morning flight and driven past some clubs at 9 a.m, and you know, they're still there. They're still going. You know, with a pint. You know, King of Ibiza, we called one of them, didn't we? And he thinks he feels like the King of Ibiza. So
we're a bit jealous, weren't we?
So I think it's still there, but I just don't think it's as mass as when it sort of in the 90s, where there were thousands of people. You could go out to a small town and there'd be 3 nightclubs playing house music. That'd be busy Friday, Saturday. You know, you're lucky if there's one that's busy on a Saturday now. So it'd be interesting to see how that develops, and then their kids, you know, what they're going to teach their kids. Will it go full circle? The next generation is going to be absolute nutters.
It's going to go full circle. I think the next generation are going to be massive drinkers.
Right?
We've seen in club culture a little bit where the last 2 years of the student culture have actually been back out.
Right.
Because it's like those COVID kids. Got, you know, the ones that were like locked away when they were 18.
They missed out on a lot. They missed out on going out.
And they just don't.
My
have
kids
that
were like
club.
that. My son was 17, 18. And they didn't have that social interaction or going out every week. So then by the time they came out of it, it just wasn't a thing.
And I guess it's about brands like yours and the clubs and the whole ecosystem having experiences that people want to come to. That's what's going to drive the younger generation out. Is that a focus in your kind of vision, in your business plan, like looking at the next generations and what they want? Yeah, absolutely. I think we've always got to keep an eye on that, because that's going to give the brand longevity, because, you know, the people, the original, love to be family, you know, they're going to get of an age where they don't want to go out, you know. So we want to give the brand longevity, you know, for whoever takes it on after us, you know. We want the brand to keep going, absolutely. And that's why, you know, we've got young producers on the record label. I said the lad who was like 15 sort of coming through, and just keeping an eye on what their tastes are and what they're into musically, and you know, and then just trying to tap into that kind of, we're more kind of the market that have come out of that 18 to 23 kind of, you know, you really young generation of DJs and things like that. We're kind of the step on from that, I'd say.
And we used to be, back in the day, I think we've taken the lead from in the 90s. You had the rave scene, and then you had the super clubs, and you went out raving, and then you grew up into super clubs, whereas our festival is like so a super club festival. So it's not, you get the kid festivals, which are great, where the kids cut their teeth at festivals. They can be a bit on edge, whereas you graduate to a festival like ours and it's all safe and lovely and glamorous. And that's where we want to be. But we have to watch where kids are going out, and that's obviously festivals. So that's why we've positioned ourselves in that space, really.
So there's a word I've noticed you've used a couple of times to describe your events, and that's glamorous. What does that mean?
Definitely not us, though.
Yeah. Well, no,
what does that mean in the events? Because I've never been.
I just think it's not like really dirty underground kind of, you know. Glamorous is probably not the right word, really. It's probably it is glamorous, but I think it's more. It's quite, you know, the events are polished. It's really nicely presented. You know, we have a lot of decor, which is really kind of nicely presented. It feels nice. I think that's one thing that people say to us is it feels nice.
Our demographic is 65% women, though.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So there you go. So that tells you something. So it's a friendly atmosphere.
Safe.
I mean, we've had people at our festival in high heels. When does that happen at a festival in the VIP area?
Because this is the vibe I'm getting, the high heels. I'm thinking everyone's dressed quite
it is. It's a mix. It's a mix. But it's not like a big high-end thing where you've got to be a millionaire to go there. No. It's a proper house music event, you know. And I think what it is, it's a safe environment where if you want to get dressed up, you can get dressed up. And, you know, we had to expand the VIP area last year because it was so popular, it just sold out really quickly. Wow. So people want that experience. We did an interview for an industry magazine talking about the VIP experience, and I think that's a really big part of ours. I think when you go to a lot of festivals, people use the VIP as I'll go to the toilet there and grab a drink there. Our VIP is packed all day. You know, people are dancing in there.
We have DJs.
We've got DJs in there. We have like a massive tent, which is a pamper station. You can do your hair, get makeup on and stuff like that.
I'm here.
Yeah.
We have fairground stuff, don't we, going on there for free for the VIPs. We have a confessions booth with a nun in that comes and you can have your confess your clubbing sins, and she forgives you.
Love this. We need this in VIP.
So there's a lot more. There's a bit of humour in what we do. It's not just plonk a stage in a field and away you go. There's a bit of thought into it, and we've got that through the years of working in clubs and working around the world. We're taking the best bits that we've seen and trying to incorporate in what we're doing to give people an experience beyond the music as well. So,
and a lot of people in the industry shun the VIP culture and say, you know, it's kind of taken away from the grassroots or the edge. But it sounds like you've embraced it in a really awesome way. Has that been intentional? Has that been demand? A mixture of both?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think because you've got that older demographic that comes to love to be as well as the younger demographic, they want a space where they can get out of the, you know, the hustle and bustle of the main stage, or, you know, they want a bit of a space where they can go and chill out, especially when you're on, you know, operating from, you know, 11 hours a day. And I think it's always been there, you know, super clubs had VIP areas, you know, the Music Factory in Sheffield in 1994 had a VIP area.
That came along and Prince's Eve. We had them all there. So
it was always been there. It's probably just a little bit more because of social media, because of, you know, it's online a lot more, people are videoing it and things like that. And I get, you know, VIP tables on a dance floor and things like that. I kind of get why that would not be great for some people, because that is kind of taken away from what the dance floor is for. But then in a festival, you've got a huge field, so why not have a space where people can go and freshen up and, you know, maybe get some premium drinks or whatever, you know, get a bit of table service.
And there's a dance floor there as well.
Yeah. And there's a dance floor.
And everyone wants a different experience from a festival as well.
Yeah.
So not everyone wants to be muddy in in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So if you're not embracing customers' desires, are you cutting out a whole demographic?
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a demand for it. Well, there is a demand for it because we have to double the size of the VIP. So, you know, but then what we do in there, you know, we have like little surprises in there, like a magician, and we have like some extra stuff going on in there. So there's value for that extra ticket money as well. It's not just about like sort of saying, oh, we're just going to get like a bit more on the ticket. You know, there's investment that goes into that. It's not just an area. You know, we have exclusive DJ performances. We have live PAs in there. Like I say, we have kind of like fairground games in there, which are just for VIP, you know, the VIPs, and we have all that in the festival itself as well. But it's just people want a different experience, so why not give it to them?
And what is the price difference of tickets?
It's not massive. I think it starts out there's around about £30 difference at the start, and then it just creeps up a little bit. So it's not huge. You know, we don't want to try and, you know, like outprice people, but at the same time, you know, there is a lot of investment that goes into that area with, you know, seating, the bars, and, you know, the entertainment as well, really.
And when are your festival dates this year?
So Sheffield Festival is an inner city festival this year at a place called Steel Yard, which is a purpose-built steel container yard. Really cool industrial setting.
A bit like a box park, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like 24th of May. That is on the bank holiday. Got Roger Sanchez, Low Stepper, Shapeshifters, David Penn, 2 geezers called Trim Toner on there as well. And then we've got a music factory stage with Grant Nelson and Alistair Whitehead and John Please Women, some sort of bigger older names as well. And then the flagship, the bigger festival, is in Harrogate on the 5th of September this year. Your birthday.
It is, yeah.
Nice. That's always a sunny weekend.
Yeah, it is.
Every festival we've ever done on that day,
We've been so lucky.
It is the sun.
Yeah. But it's the last 2 years it's rained all week.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh no, it's going to be raining, and then the sun comes out.
Well, let's hope for that again.
Let's fingers crossed. Yeah.
And obviously, you mentioned at the beginning, you've been here in London, like with expansion plans. You have got other expansion plans. What is on the horizon that you can share?
You want to go with that?
Well, I mean, it's obviously we want to do more festivals and we want to be in different areas. So we're looking at probably growing from 2 festivals to, we hope, 4 festivals within the next year or maximum 2 years, which is great because we want them at different times of the year. And we're also looking at doing deals with various event spaces where we can use them as like a festival space where we generate bar revenue as well. Yeah. So we're speaking to quite a big player in the market. Won't give that away just yet, but that will enable us to do winter type festivals because they're indoor.
And invest in bigger talent because they're bigger spaces. So, you know, it's sometimes getting a balance in winter, unless you're in a drum sheds or a warehouse project. Then, you know, it's tough to find those spaces. So we're working on that. And then this year we're working on, we're releasing some Ibiza dates soon. A really cool venue out there.
Nice.
We're going back to Australia in October. So we're doing 3 cities over there. We're doing Melbourne, Sydney and Perth. And we're also working on a Malta festival as well, like a 3-day Malta festival for next year. So
New York, Miami.
New York, Miami. So just all over the show really. So.
And I know you mentioned when we were speaking off camera before, the size of the festivals has been quite intentional for you to keep of a certain size. What is it?
Well, I think we're at around 6,000 in Harrogate at the moment, which is a really nice figure. We can go up to 10,000 on the land that we've got and the license, which would be comfortable for us, I think. But again, more and more investment, you know, that kind of thing. So I think around that sort of like 5,000 mark is where we are at the minute. I think because we're looking to do multiple locations as a Love to Be festival brand. Yeah. A lot of festivals are one massive festival in one location every year, but we're looking at it from our club heads and sort of from back in, you know, sort of early days where we want the brand to tour, we want the brand to be in different locations, we want to build different data, we want to take the party to people, you know. So if we can dot it around the UK and put 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people with really strong lineups, multiple stages, and then obviously do these things abroad, which we're doing, then happy days really.
We have looked at a site that can give us a full weekend whereby it's got camping in, and so that would be a step up as well. Yeah, got to look at logistics and how it all works, but that's kind of where we need to be. We know where we want to go.
And I think what I love about what I'm hearing is that if someone wants to kind of tap into the community and be part of the buzz, you've got these multiple experiences that they can actually go to over the course of a year now. Yeah. We've
got a really busy calendar, which we you know, it's one event per month pretty much. Maybe it's probably more than that. Amazing. So you know, we're in various cities. We're in Liverpool, Manchester this year with some sort of like club shows. So you know, you can come and do your big festival ticket. You can come and spend 15, 20 quid and come to a Love to Be experience, and there's just as much, you know, goes into those events as the festivals really, as in lineups and production and stuff like that. So we just try and give it our all really and give people a good experience.
Super cool, love this. So I want to share with like our listeners how they can get tickets to your events, connect with you. Where should they go?
So our socials are at Love to Be Events on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok as well, and I think YouTube as well as that as well. And our tickets are
at skiddle.com.
Yeah, that's our main sprayer. Yeah,
we'll put the links in the bio as well for everyone. And I need to come down.
Definitely.
If anything else, I need to be on that dance floor in my heels. Okay, I'm bringing the heels, guys. I'm the one.
You're buying my birthday drink.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us. It's been great.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.